All right, with that, let's shift our focus now to the UK, where the metaphorical news is now tightening around Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Remember, an increasing number of Labour Party leaders are calling on him to step down and open the way for a change in leadership. But despite this, Prime Minister Starmer remains firm on continuing as the PM for the remainder of his term. But how long can he carry on and continue to resist the pressure? That's the question. Great Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham and Britain's former Health Secretary Wes Streeting are at the forefront of a potential leadership challenge to Keir Starmer. Burnham has already set the ball rolling with his candidature in the Makerfield by-election. A victory on this seat will open the path for Andy Burnham to be a potential challenger to Keir Starmer. Burnham needs to be a member of the Parliament before he can enter a race to replace Starmer. Wes Streeting has endorsed Andy Burnham's candidature in Makerfield. In a social media post, Wes Streeting said that Labour needs its best players on the pitch and that there is no doubt that Burnham is one of them. This comes after Streeting became one of the most prominent ministers to resign for Starmer's cabinet. The political crisis has left the Labour Party divided. Nearly 100 Labour MPs have rallied behind Starmer, while around 87 MPs have asked him to step down so far. Any leadership challenge will require the support of 80 Labour Party MPs, but so far, no leader has officially launched a bid to replace Keir Starmer. Most Labour Party leaders have a higher unfavourable sentiment among the voters than Starmer does. According to a recent YouGov poll, Keir Starmer's favourability rating is 23%, while 69% of the respondents have an unfavourable opinion about him. Andy Burnham is favourable to more respondents than any other Labour leader, with a 31% positive rating. But 48% of the respondents still said that he was unfavourable. Former Health Secretary Wes Streeting's favourability rating remains on the lower side as well. 16% of the respondents have a favourable opinion about Streeting, but 44% have given unfavourable ratings to him. Another potential candidate is Starmer's former Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner, but only 22% of the poll respondents have actually given her a favourable rating. 55% say that they do not favour her. Now, the lack of a clear choice to replace Keir Starmer continues to puzzle the Labour ranks, and the political drama has now triggered a rise in borrowing costs in Britain, while the pound is on a downward trajectory. The economic cost of a political fallout could further increase if the Labour Party fails to put an end to this leadership crisis.
Have been in power for over a decade, mad in their sleeves with
All right, let me go across to our correspondent, Ollie Barrett. He's joining us from London with the latest. Ollie, it's an interesting battle that's playing out there in the UK because you've got several Labour Party MPs challenging Keir Starmer, but none of them really have favourable ratings except for Andy Burnham. And so, the entire path for him to become the MP and then launch that leadership challenge. What's the status right now? How should we read it? Is it going to be getting tougher for Keir Starmer, or will he sail through because of the lack of numbers?
Yeah, actually, none of them have launched a leadership challenge against him yet. And Andy Burnham, who you mentioned, can't do so until he becomes an MP. And we'll get to that in a second. Wes Streeting, the Health Secretary, has quit his job in government, but hasn't yet triggered a leadership challenge against Keir Starmer, and neither has anyone else. Now, when it comes to Wes Streeting, his critics and his opponents will tell you that that's because they don't think he has enough MPs. The number you need is 81 backing you, according to Labour Party rules, to officially trigger a leadership contest. His supporters tell you actually no, it's because he wants there to be an open and broad leadership contest, and that should be open to people like Andy Burnham in particular. And Andy Burnham, not being an MP yet, needs a little bit of time for him to potentially enter the race. Now, there are other names mentioned. Angela Rayner, the former Deputy Prime Minister, Al Khan, demands, a defence minister, others who could potentially put their names in the running as well, but not clear which of those, if any, would be able to get the backing of enough MPs to actually launch a leadership challenge. And so therefore on to Andy Burnham. He is putting his hat in the ring to run in this seat of Makerfield, where there will be a by-election in the northwest of England. Assuming he is the candidate there for Labour, he does stand a good chance, but he also faces a very strong challenge in that seat from the Reform UK party led by Nigel Farage. So it is not at all a certainty that Andy Burnham will get to Westminster and be able to launch that leadership challenge against Keir Starmer. So for now, Keir Starmer remains in power, remains in Downing Street, remains Prime Minister, but he is very much weakened because MPs know that there is likely to be a leadership contest at some point in the coming weeks, and therefore his legislative agenda is very much weakened as well. His ability to get through some controversial laws and bills that his government had been proposing has very much been lessened as a result of the events of the last week or so. So where we are as a status update, if you like, is that Keir Starmer is in Downing Street. He remains Prime Minister. He may not be Prime Minister for long, but he and his allies say he will fight on. The government will get on with the business of government, and he at the moment is telling people that he will fight any leadership contest that does actually start. But over the coming weeks, it is very likely indeed that more and more Labour figures will quietly go to Keir Starmer and urge him to potentially step aside so that there isn't a chaotic and divisive leadership race in the Labour Party.
All right, so let's wait and see. This is an interesting battle in the next few weeks and months. But as the joke has been going on, Ollie, that Prime Ministers will change, the only permanent resident of 10 Downing Street remains Larry the cat. And I'll leave it there. Thanks very much for getting us the latest from London.
Of course.